Is it our ghost again? What's up, y'all? We are ready for a good one tonight. We're going to check out the sound. If you're in the chat, give us a thumbs up or anything. Just let us know how it sounds on your end before we kick this off. So I'm excited. This will be a good way to kick off our next season, our new season. We're in season 6 now. I'm going to try to change down that. Okay, good. You getting any sound or no?
Yeah, it sounds a little echoey though. Can you just double check?
Mm-hmm.
Same with me.
All right, give it a second. See if that works a little better. Once again, if you guys are watching live, we do apologize if you hear some water running in the background. It is not anybody using the bathroom behind us. We promise. Yeah, we do film this live or record this live in our basement. So that's what you are hearing behind us.
All right, you're right. You're good to go. Yeah, we're good to go now.
All right, cool. And we will edit that noise out later. Hello and welcome everyone to season 6 of the Gainin Fast On Memphis podcast, a place where we connect melodies to memories. I'm your host, Aaron Shriver.
And I'm your co-host, Jillian Shriver.
Our mission tonight is to provide a platform for motivated singer-songwriters, passionate fans, or someone who is making a difference in and around the music community. We hope everyone listening leaves inspired with a positive outlook on life and begins connecting their own memories to melodies. Tonight we are presented by our good friends at Arlo Revolution, cinematic wedding films, music videos, and promos. Find them at arlorevolution.com. One Tree Planted. For every 1,000 downloads of the show, we plant a tree with One Tree Planted. Download the show on your favorite podcast app. And Pod Decks. Pod Decks are the hottest tool to get your next great interview, unique interview questions in the palm of your hand. And we will use those cards in a little bit. It gets a little fun. That's all. Our on-screen sponsors, Art on a Higher Wire by Joelle, original and custom artwork inspired by your life moments, treasured photos, and memories. And Shed Services. At Shed Services, we offer a full range of maintenance services depending on your needs. Find them at shedservices.com. Looking for ways to support or sponsor Gainin Fast On Memphis, and please head over to our Patreon page. Tier start at just $1. When you sign up for a full year, you get 2 months free. If Patreon is something you can't do at the time, the next best way to support the show is to like, share, review, and subscribe anywhere you can find the show. Remember, you can join us live every Monday night. This week's Tuesday night, so we kind of fluctuate every now and then. But every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central Time on Facebook and YouTube, you can interact with the show, ask questions, and join in our live chat with your favorite guests. Visit our website, GainingFastOnMemphis.com, for concert reviews, photos, playlist links, and more. We thank all of our sponsors for continued support and growth of the show. So that's a mouthful, but we get through it every week. I like doing it live. It's fun. So.
All right.
Speaking of the website, we're going to add a really cool one this weekend. We got a cool little thing Saturday night. We're going to kind of out of the box. We're going to check out Teddy Swim. So I'm kind of really excited for that one. But yeah, you ready for the show?
Let's go.
All right. That's going to be a good one. All right, guys. So tonight we welcome in a good buddy of mine, David Adam Byrnes, for episode 126. I first met him back, I want to say 2007, shortly after he moved to Nashville. Since he has been grinding, working hard, and staying true to himself. And man, tonight we are honored to discuss melodies and memories that make up his journey. There we go. What's up, buddy?
Oh, man.
It's like a little delayed tonight. Man, dude, I have been waiting for tonight for the longest time, dude.
Yeah, I hated we couldn't do it here in the last season when you had it going, but that's all right. Better late than never.
Yeah, dude. Hey, we're good. It's a good way to kick it off, man, because you and I go way back. I know I just shared the picture again on Instagram, man. I think that was probably, you were only in town a couple months when we first met.
Man, it had to have been somewhere in there. Yeah, 2000. I moved to town on February 5th, 2007. So I think it was.
Okay. I think it was like August or so, because I remember church, I thought, was playing the Tin Roof that night.
I know exactly what it was. They used to do that, what they called the Capitol Pub Crawl, where they shut down the Mumber Inn for a big headline act, and all of the new acts that were playing, or that they were going to push that year, were going to play on the small bars. Because I remember it was, I think Dierks Bentley headlined, and the 3 acts nobody had ever heard of that were new were Eric Church, Luke Bryan, and Lady Antebellum. And I'd say
cool. He opened for Church.
yeah.
But did I give you a Church CD then? I remember giving you, but I thought it was Carolina, and I'm trying to think. Carolina didn't come out.
I ran into you the day that Carolina came out, and I was talking about if I'd gotten it yet. Yep.
All right, we ran into each other a second time down the road because I'm like, I remember that picture had to be 2007, but I'm like, Carolina didn't, unless we traveled in time. Carolina didn't come out in 2009.
You know what's funny is when I met you at that Tin Roof show for Eric, it was actually funny because Eric's brother snuck me in. I wasn't even old enough to be in the Tin Roofs.
Because you moved to town when you were 17, right?
19, yeah.
19, okay, 19. All right, cool, man. And that's what we're showing a picture. We're showing a little pictures to your journey, but man, your journey kind of started in this picture right here on this Fiddle and Steel stage. But I want to throw it way back, man, before we get too sidetracked tonight. And I want to go back to your earliest music memory, man. Kind of like what was kind of going on in the house when you're growing up. And I always like to know your first concert experience too, the first live show you went to.
Man, my first live show was what actually started it for me. I was 3 years old. Mom and Dad took me to see George Strait, and I said right then and there, I want to be him. And a lot of my childhood, I thought I was him. I finally grew up a little bit and realized that there will never be another George. I better figure out me. But yeah, man, it all started with that. But I mean, even in our house, I mean, we just always had country music on. I mean, I remember on a daily basis growing up, you know, Dad would have our local station there with the country on, and we'd flip it over to TNN, and I'd watch music videos until Mama took over the TV. And, you know, obviously before I started school and stuff. But yeah, I mean, music is pretty much, or pretty much it has been, you know, everything that my world's revolved around since I was really, really little.
So what would you remember from being 3 years old at that George Strait concert? I mean, if you could think of just one memory you took away from that, or just saying other than wanting to be that, like, was it the lights, the smoke, like not the smoke, but like the music? What was it that you kind of just really felt like you connected with?
You know, it's crazy because I you know, 3 years old, I can't say I truly remember the concert. I mean, I remember that it happened. You know, that's about as vague of it. If there's anything at all I remember from the night, it was, you know, back then George used to take his cowboy hat off and throw it out to the crowd every night. So I do remember that. But I don't know, man. We went to see George every time he came to town, and it seemed like he came to Little Rock, you know, once a year or so. But it was just, I don't know. It was at that age, it was just George. I don't know. I guess that was the first. I'll tell you something that's kind of weird, may have something to do with it. I figured this out when I'm older, but if you look at pictures of my dad and George in that era, there was a lot of resemblances too. So I don't know if there's a trigger there that I didn't know about that had something to do with
your music dad, man. That was like your musical, your musical inspiration there. Man, I love that.
I remember like when Pure Country came out, you know, my parents still laugh about this today, you know, because they gave the soundtrack before the movie came out. And so they took me in the night that it came out in the theaters, and I'm sitting there in the theater just screaming, singing at the top of my lungs every song. And they're like, people trying to watch this movie, shut up.
That's amazing.
That is funny, man. I love it too. So you pretty much graduated high school, and I mean, shortly after that, were you just gone, or when did you finally make the jump to Nashville?
Yeah, so I had been making trips through my high school years, and then you know, my mom and dad begged me to try the college thing. So I took a music scholarship at a small community college school and still was making trips to town just because I knew it's where I wanted to be. And the college thing lasted a half a semester. And, you know, at that point, I mean, I started playing clubs and stuff when I was in high school. I mean, even as a kid, I was playing nursing homes, talent shows. I mean, it was, you know, being on stage has been my whole life. But, you know, when I was in high school and that little bit of gray area between there, and, you know, I was playing clubs and festivals and just anything I could around Central Arkansas. But yeah, I finally, I'll tell you how it started. It's kind of why the Fiddle and Steel became such a family place for me. A guy named Preston Stanfield. He was the original fourth member of Rascal Flatts, and he had the Shelly Wright gig at the time and didn't really want to leave his awesome gig for some Maywork band. But he's who I would always stay with when I came to town. And he, I remember it was Christmas time and I moved in February, but around Christmas, he called me and was like, man, he goes, I had a room open up at the duplex. I think it's time for you just to make the move. And ironically, right when he called, Rascal Flatts popped up on the TV. And that was just, I was like,
no, is your sign,
man. So saved up enough money to try to be able to put that first, month's worth of rent down and made the move.
That's cool. So you're originally from Arkansas, so not too far from Nashville. I mean, not too bad. I mean, you can make it in a quick weekend or so there and back.
Oh,
but
yeah.
So when you got there, you kind of, I mean, you're not 21 yet, so it was kind of rough for you, wasn't it? Maybe like there wasn't many places you could really play it. Was there, or did you kind of get in a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it took a minute. The fiddle took me in, and I met Jay Brunswick, who I ended up writing a lot of my songs, and even some of the stuff that we're releasing now I've written with him. And he kind of helped get me in a few places. I mean, the fiddle was really the start. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was there every single day they were open. And it ventured down. Jay had this show at the Full Moon Saloon down on Broadway every Saturday from 2 to 6. And so he brought me in, and the owner was from Arkansas. So when we saw each other's Razorback hats on, and he was like, how old are you? He's like, I just don't tell nobody. So
we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah. Me and Jay started doing that show. And then finally the Broadway thing kind of started creeping in as I got to meet more of the musicians and people to fiddle. And in fact, it was weird. One of the first times that I played at was a second fiddle, I think. A guy, I want to say it was like Labor Day weekend or something. And the guy that had the shift was hammered and didn't want to play it. He was like, DAB, you want to go do this? So me and Jay went down, and that's actually the day that the owner of Future Better Angels, where I ultimately ended up signing my first publishing and record deal at. He came in that day, and that's how he saw me and saw Jay and started the whole thing. So it's just one of them things where early in my career, it's just like just little random events always happen that would open a door, and just, man, I mean, it's one of the things I look back at it now. I mean, no, none of those deals really worked out the way I wanted them to, but man, I had a lot of opportunities very, very early on in my career that most people take 5-10 years in time to get. So it was cool, man.
Yeah, I love that. So when you're kind of coming into town, young kid coming in, you got hooked into the fiddle, and like you said, it was family, dude. Like I got a little taste of that family every now and then coming in. When I came in, I went in there, and one of my favorite places, dude, and probably miss it till this day. But other than Allison and everybody else from there was one man that always stood out, man. We lost him last year, but you got to write a few songs with him. I'm showing a picture of Rick Tiger on, and if you guys look over my shoulder on my stage back here, there's always a picture of Rick that sits right in the middle of my stage now. So he actually played this stage, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 times. So it's pretty cool, the times that we had with him. But tell me a little bit about your first impression of Rick, meeting him and writing with him then, and actually becoming a friend of his.
Man, it's funny, because if you know Rick, he's got that little bit of that coon-ass cockiness to him, man. And yeah, so I had came downtown to hang out with some people, and they ended up leaving. I think it was like it was one of the random days that the fiddle just wasn't open, or they closed it or something. And I just walked up to the fiddle not even knowing they were closed. And that's when he was building the doghouse. And for those of you that don't know, so Rick had the hot dog stand in the fiddle and steel guitar bar that basically was your drunk food, or just if you had a gig and didn't get to eat, kind of thing. But so he's starting his chapter there at the same time. And we just kind of get to chatting and this and that. And a few weeks later, I had came in the fiddle, and I had heard somebody get up and play More Afraid of Living Than Dying, and saying that Rick wrote it. And I remember walking up that night and going, man, I love that song. I'd love to have a copy of that. And kind of cockiness on top of my head, he goes, well, it's on my MySpace. You can hear it there. And so I did. At that time, me and Jay were playing like Monday nights, the little acoustic set that they had at the fiddle. And so that next week I learned it, and I came in there and I played it, and I could tell it kind of put a little twinkle in his eye, And so I finally sat down and had my very first co-write in Nashville, and it was with Jay. And it was that song idea that I had, the jukebox, the bottle, and me. And it was something I'd brought with me from Arkansas. I had the first verse and some of the chorus, and it was a really slow song, but me and Jay just did not know where to take it. And so we came in the fiddle that night, and we saw Daddy Rick, and of course he asked me what we were doing and stuff. And we told him about the song, and he goes, well, you boys want to write it? And I was like, with you? Absolutely. When? And he goes, well, how about when I get done? And I remember going, isn't that going to be like 3 a.m? And I remember the words to a T. I say this every night on stage when we play it. I said his exact words were, "Do you want to write a song or not, kid?" If you remember in the fiddle, the umbrella that's over in the corner by the Rascal Flatts poster, man, we sat there at 3 a.m. and we wrote the Jukebox, the Bottle, and Me, and that really, really started the relationship with Rick. And we wrote a lot of songs, and man, some of my favorite ones had him on it. And I still say to this day, I don't know how he wasn't a huge hit songwriter. To me, he's one of the best of them that ever hit town. And man, I hate that he's gone, and I miss him.
And yeah, dude, and the storytelling that guy had. Every time he did his house tour and he came here, he would have the stories, man, for days, and we'd hook everybody with them, dude. And Joyce would always be right there in his corner, man, always just selling his merch for him. And
they were definitely a green team, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's definitely gonna be. He probably hit me the hardest over the last few years, losing him, because I looked up to the guy. I mean, I used to drink every now and then, and I know he had a few songs that just hit me, man, and I quit drinking. I really gave him a lot of the credit for it too, because it was stuff like I keep his book back here that he wrote. I'll read it every now and then. There's a few songs, and good dude, man. He was a good dude, but he left a lot of legacy behind. So a lot of us still carry on what he left us. So
absolutely, and I mean, there's songs in that catalog. When I get the chance to record, I will, man. It's there's a special one we wrote. Why I've been drinking, and it was weird because you never saw him drink. Yeah. And there was one night he had a few drinks, and all of a sudden he asked me and Jay if we could write with him, and we wrote that song. It's to this day I still never knew what was on his mind. I wish I'd have had a chance or the balls to just ask him, but it's just special moments like that. But he was definitely the dad to all of us kids in Nashville, man.
I think that was one of my favorites that you guys did, because that's the one he always did down here too in the basement, and I loved it. Funny story I'll tell you real quick, and we'll move on to our next topic. And I think I've shared this before, but so the basement, we talked a little bit about. You can hear it sounds like someone's going to the bathroom. It's our sump pump, but because you hear. But dude, we don't have a ceiling down here, so it's a little low cut ceiling. And when someone does go in the bathroom down here, and this is a guy, you could probably hear it if he's aiming for the target in the bottom of the pool. I always want to get a urinal in there just to kind of get rid of that noise. So Rick's up on stage telling a story. We probably have 40, 50 people down here in chairs. So everybody's quiet listening to Rick's story. We have a bar over in the corner, so we were serving some drinks. This guy probably had a few drinks. He goes in the bathroom, and he was aiming for that target pretty hard. And dude, you could hear it. Everybody in the basement heard it. And Rick said something about you get some soundproofing on that thing, earn it or something like that. And he was sitting on stage, and just everybody started laughing when he said that. And the guy walks out, and he looks straight at the guy right across the crowd. He's like, "Man, I didn't hear no sink water. Fist bumps for you the rest of the night."
Man, it's funny because he was quick with them one-liners just to put you in place. Dude. I'll tell you something a lot of people didn't know, man. He had a hose for an arm, man. He was an amateur or minor league, whatever you want to call it, semi-pro quarterback. And so there was a point where a lot of us on Sundays, we'd all get off the road and meet up and go, play 2-man touchdown in Centennial Park. And he was always the all-time QB, man. He could launch that thing.
Hell yeah, man.
I didn't know that.
I knew he used to play. Like when he was in Louisiana, I knew he used to play back in the day. So I really hope they do something for him. I know they haven't really done a memorial or anything. They're waiting for everything to calm down. So hopefully sometime soon they'll do something for him. Because
I'd like to have a little bit. Make it. I know Texas and Nashville is a little bit of haul these days, but man, I sure to be a part of it too.
Well, man, let's get back on track a little bit, because I know Rick got us a little sidetracked. We could do that with him because he's one hell of a guy and storyteller and writer. But so after you kind of started doing that thing, and you had the pub deal. I mean, I know you kind of had it. Didn't you have a few record labels looking at you too at one point? You just didn't really like the direction they wanted to take you. I mean, because you always been really true to yourself, as far as I've known you. I still remember when I first heard it. You'll probably remember this when I get there, dude. I still have the handwritten lyrics somewhere, because we would hit play, listen to it, write it down. I think it was probably on MySpace, dude, because I know you and I were MySpace.
It was, man. Yeah, that was the beginning of the whole social media thing, man.
Yeah. So, but I found it not recently or not too long ago. I found these lyrics. I'm like, oh, that's David's song. All right. But for you, I mean, you stayed true to yourself for a while. But tell me a little bit about kind of that journey for you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I grew up in a house to where all I heard was old school country and 90s country. And, most kids would rebel against that. I mean, my dad's sitting there playing Merle Haggard records and stuff like that. And, it took me until late in my high school years to embrace it. Some of that stuff I was like, it's a little too old for me. But, man, I really just dove into it. And I I really remember the main moment that hit me musically. Chestnut was doing a thing on GAC, and it was promoting that Somebody Saved the Honky Tonk record. And I heard that song and several of them on that, and I went, man, that's the kind of country I like. Like, that's my stuff. And so that's just what I started doing. And I got in Nashville, and that's really when the whole pop stuff was really starting to take over. I mean, I think Rascal Flatts owned everything at that point. Al Dean was even just kind of coming out, and Eric Church and those guys. But I never wanted anything to do with pop. I mean, I still this day, to me, if you got to put pop or bro or a pre-suffix in front of country, then it's not, And so I think that's what made a lot of people latch to me, because, a lot of those guys that had the cuts in the 90s and stuff, they saw somebody that, they could write with and potentially work with again. But the reality of it was, I was just a sheltered 19-year-old kid moving to Nashville. My parents, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was just, he's in the military and worked a day job. I didn't really have that business training and marketing and all that. So I feel like every chapter of my life, there's been a stage where I learned like the next step that got me to the next step that got me to the next step. And so, like you said, with labels looking and stuff, I mean, the first rule you always hear is don't sign the first thing that comes along. And what did I do? Sign the first thing that came along. I got a manager that turned out to be an absolute nightmare. And, she kind of rushed me into the first deal I had. But, I mean, even though that deal at the end of the day didn't turn out great, it still taught me so much, because it got me off Broadway and got me in legit writing room with, the big boys. And it got me in the studio recording music, and it ultimately got me my very first single and got me a radio tour and started letting me understand what it's like to be an artist and not just be a bar singer. So, there was a lot of pressure to cave in, even on that premium country record. I feel like that record was split in half. There was the songs that made me happy and the songs that made the label happy.
Yep.
So, it was, I don't know, it was all a learning experience. But yeah, man, I look back at that Better Angels roster. I don't know if you remember everybody there, but I mean, Josh Thompson was with us, Thompson Square, Matt Rogers. I mean, I think there's about 3 or 4 dudes total that aren't still artists or not getting number ones and killing it as a songwriter. So, I mean,
and Josh Thompson, I think he was just in the wrong time. Like, if he was like 10 years ago, or maybe even now, I think Thompson would have went over way better.
I'll tell you what, though, he's happy. I mean, dude, for those of y'all that don't know who he is or don't realize what he's doing, he's got more number ones right now on radio than anybody. And I still talk to him. He told me he actually left Nashville. He's got a place in Montana and a place back home. And Josh always did the artist things. He felt like he had to. He's writing songs. That's all he ever really. I always remember, because we had that same manager. She goes, "You're the entertainer, he's the songwriter. If I could put the two of you together, I'd have just the mega artist." So I think he's where he wants to be. But he did have a little moment in the sun to go out and see it all, and man, I'm happy for him.
Yeah, dude. I know he was out there with Church for a while, and it was cool to see him out there and do his thing with that tour. There's a lot like Jonathan Singleton, man. He tried doing that artist thing for the longest time, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta try," but he would always I was more comfortable being a songwriter, dude. And I'll look at him now; he's belting out left and right. We always have.
There's so many people that want to be artists, and they don't realize what all it takes. I mean, even me now doing it independently. I mean, there are no days off. I mean, it's you are just running, gunning, and then some people want that, and some people don't mind killing themselves and not necessarily getting exactly what they want out of it. It's just it's finding your place in the music industry.
So when you kind of was over Nashville after a while, you kind of just said, "All right, when did you know it was this time to make the jump to Texas and just move?" Because I mean, that was more your speed, like the way you went out that way, and especially knowing you for the whole time, you've always been, like I said, true to yourself, and Texas just fits you, man. And that's why I love when I saw you jump out that way. I'm like, all right, this guy's gonna make a good move.
I wasn't completely true to myself for a little while, and that's where the Texas came in. Toward the very end of that Better Angels deal, I kind of started caving in and doing some stuff I didn't want to do. And then when I lost that first publishing and record deal, not to bore everybody with language of contracts, but basically what happened is the company Olay bought Better Angels, and still owned me as a songwriter, but they wouldn't work with me. They wouldn't do anything with me. And it was an album-based deal. So I was just stuck. I mean, so, you know, that was about the time Florida Georgia Line was coming out. And I had a buddy of mine that we were writing all this stuff. And he was really pushing me. It's kind of funny. The sounds of what we were doing at the time is kind of what I feel like Joe Nichols kind of started doing, or it was kind of poppier sounding stuff, but real true country vocal, great lyric. And we were kind of ahead of the curve. But, to be honest and point blank, man, I had a publishing deal on the table because of him, where I was probably about to have 5 or 6 singles right off the bat. And the artists they were, I know they would have all been number ones. But then you find out I can't sign the pub deal because Olay owns a piece of me, and then Olay just shelved me. And so it forced me to get out and just start touring and quit playing the whole sitting around Nashville playing rock. You know, to me, there's 2 ways to do it in the business: go out and earn the fans, or sit in town and wait on somebody to tell you can have them. And it was the biggest blessing in disguise, because it taught me touring, but what it did was it got me out there where people were going, man, real country, thank you. And it's just, you know, I'm not going to knock on Nashville. What they do, it works, but you got dudes sitting in cubicles going out in town and thinking, well, because I like this is what everybody likes. And the reality is, stuff they're popping out on radio just, it ain't that great. And
I think social media has definitely really helped in the long run, especially over the last couple of years, like 2020 and everything else. Because
exposure,
it's gotten your song in front of a whole new audience.
That's what I said, man. It's social media. The greatest thing about it is that everybody can be heard. The bad news about it, everybody can be heard. You know, so I mean, I do miss that filter of radio. You know, being kind of the gatekeeper of what should and shouldn't be out there. But you know, but yeah, I mean, to answer your question, sorry, I'm bad about detouring on answers, but I kind of had that moment, and I kind of knew about Texas, but I didn't know all about it. And so I had a buddy of mine, Arliss Albritton, and he started throwing me on the bus with different artists to go out and open up shows and sell merch. I mean, it was one of them things where, you know, I might get to play 20 minutes during a set changeover. I might not play at all, or I might get a full-blown opening set, but I was out there getting to just see it, taste of touring, and really watching and learning from him. And the more I was out there, the more I realized there's a lot of people that want this kind of country. And then I played the NFR. It's a sea of cowboy hats, and every one of them are just going nuts to my country of stuff. And I'm like, who are y'all and where are y'all at? And
that's my people.
But it was Cody Johnson, man. I had a buddy of mine in Champaign, Illinois, that was always trying to play me Texas stuff, but it was always more of the rock stuff, which once again, that ain't me. And I remember me and my kind came on his radio, and I came running out of the room, and I was like, who the hell is that? And why is he doing what I'm told nobody wants? And dude, I spent, I think about the next 6 months, the only thing I listened to was that record. I was just trying to unbrainwash myself from what I'd been writing, what I was told I had to do. And then, you know, I signed that second terrible record deal. But it was a blessing in disguise too, because I got to work with Trent Willman, and you know, I finally got to do the record that I've wanted to do my entire career, and we did the Neon Town record. And he opened the door to get me to do a show with Cody, and that led to about 2 months straight of opening up for different Texas guys. And every single night, the artist, crew member, band member, somebody combination of would come up and go like, man, why are you not in Texas? This would be great for you. And I remember the last one was in Little Rock, back where I'm from, opening for Aaron Watson. And I heard it again. And on that drive back, I went, I'm moving to Texas. And dude, 3 weeks later, I was gone. So I don't know. There was a lot of factors that went into getting me there, but it worked out in the end.
Well, you still record in Nashville too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still doing my business and writing and all that stuff there. It's just, you know, touring wise, it just doesn't make sense for me to live there anymore. So
I mean, and that's what's crazy. Like I've told, I don't know, Jillian hasn't really, you haven't seen it. Well, you've seen a church show in Texas, I think, but like I used to go to a couple of shows and see a couple of things down there when we would go see church. We'd make a weekend out of it, and it would be so crazy down there because the crowds are just different. It's a different crowd. It's just, in Texas, it's like its own music scene too. And
it really is. And it's just, man, down here, they really support the artist. I mean, if they get on you, they are with you for the rest of your career. And, you know, I've got a little bit of a battle here now too. We're kind of going through what I call Texas's bro country phase. You know, it's kind of got more about the rock scene, and us traditional guys are kind of getting pushed to the side again a little bit. But I mean, it's still, it's just, and it's not just the state of Texas. That's the thing where I think a lot of people get confused, man. It's kind of just a genre of its own. I mean, there's stations playing us in California. It's all the way in New York. I mean, it's that whole cowboy country scene that goes all the way from Texas all the way up to Montana. And so it's, it's like I said, with the social media and digital age, there's an easy way to get all these people to hear your music. We just got to let them know we're here.
I agree, and Nashville doesn't watch out. They're going to lose they're going to lose a lot of it to their bachelorettes, man, because they're going to focus more on that, and I mean, you're going to have more guys like you jumping, man, and making that move over to Texas because it's going to fit them better.
They're noticing, man. They're signing guys like Cody. I mean, Randall King just got a record deal, and they're pushing him. So I mean, it's there's Tristan Mraz. I mean, there's a lot of these cats that are doing our kind of country and making a lot of noise. So it's like I said.
I'm a big Flatland Calvary fan, dude.
Yeah, man. I know a few of those guys too, man. They're really, really good. I feel like they're a little more on that folk side, but instrumental are amazing.
Yeah, we saw them when they came up to Chicago here at Joe's because we don't live too far from Joe's, which is nice. So we'll see a lot of the guys come through there, and they're big fans of Texas artists, which is really great.
Ed Warm is one of the best promoters of really just thinking out of the box on that, man. I give him kudos for really making this scene established up there.
I keep telling him he needs to get you back up here. I'm like, dude, you need to get him back up here and play.
Man, I hated it. We had a run planned for like July or something that we were actually going to come through and play up there, but then something happened where we had to book something else. I don't know, but yeah, I'm with you. I want to get up there. I miss it.
Nice, man. I'll keep putting that bug in his ear, but like, dude, you gotta get him back up here. So, well, we're talking a little bit about Neon Town. It was cool because you worked with that with Trent Wilmon, and that really puts you more on track where you wanted to be. It finally came out in 2020, which was crazy because your other album was 9 years later. I think it was.
Yeah, I think I've tried to figure this out too about When Sweet Distraction. I feel like it was like 2012, if I'm right.
Okay,
I can't remember off my head either, but. Seems like it's been a battle with every record I've had. At least now we're finally pumping out new music consistently. But yeah, I mean, even getting that Neon Town record out, I mean, you had to battle the whole pausing because I was going to move to Nashville, or I'm sorry, leave Nashville when I realized the second label was a joke. And then you're trying to figure out the timing, and then you end up in a lawsuit with the label. Then COVID hits. I mean, it was just like one domino after another. Me going, is this thing ever going to come out? But man, when it finally
lawsuit, which you won, because I mean, you were definitely correct on all of that, man, which is cool. I mean, which was right. Right. So, but dude, and talk about more your pace and more your scene and everything else. You got 6 straight #1 songs right now. Dude, how badass is that? Just tell me what good feeling comes out from having 6 straight #1 songs right now.
Man, it's for somebody that's been doing this as long as I have. I mean, like I said, started at 3 years old, moved to Nashville at 19. I'm 34 now. It's just validation that there's people out there that like what we do and that what I'm doing, that it's working, it was funny. I remember when we started that first radio tour that meant, most people go from here to Nashville. You did the opposite. Why? I said, because y'all play people like me. This is where I want to be, man. But it is. I remember when I got that first #1, we were playing in Arkansas, and they had it kind of set up as we knew we might get the #1 that night. Snagging dog, hush. And I did, man. I just busted straight into tears. I ain't gonna lie, man. It was just, it was that finally, you're just clinging for something to tell you that this is working. You're where you need to be, and that was that moment of just finally.
That's awesome.
And you're ready to drop it. No other artist has had a #1 on every song they've put out here, and we're the only ones to ever do it. So I mean, it's at this point we're breaking records, and one thing people got to remember too is Texas isn't exactly kind to non-Texans, much less went to Nashville. So, it's it just shows I'm home, man.
Well, no, it shows how hard you've been working too, man. I mean, you've grinded and worked so hard over the years, and you're right. I mean, they don't take real. I mean, outsiders, man. They don't bring those outsiders in, especially if they dip their tails in Nashville a little bit. So, I definitely. I mean, for you to go in there and kick so much ass like you've been doing, man, and just to say, I have to say like that. But now you got another one coming out April 29th, man. One Honky Tonk Town. Tell me a little bit about that song, man. If you give us a little sneak peek about how you wrote or where it came from, who you wrote it with.
Well, like the title, it is a tonker. I feel like we've kind of been in ballad and mellow land here through the winter months. So we're finally going to get a tempo, just really good honky tonk song. But, one thing that's great, a lot of these songs that we've put out over the past 3-4 years are songs from early on in my writing career, but they were too country. And this one is exactly that, man. This was, when I signed that publishing deal at Better Angels, this was one of the first co-writes they got me with established writers. I wrote it with John Henderson and Danny Simpson. And, I can't remember who had the title. I can't remember who had the idea. I just remember leaving that day going, I freaking love this dang song. And, man, so that would have been around, I don't know, like I said, 2007, 2008 that we wrote it. And it took all the way to 2022 to release it. So.
Which is crazy,
incredible.
man.
Yeah,
it's crazy
incredible.
how songs can come back around. And
Mm-hmm.
especially because, it's kind of like what I was talking about Josh Thompson. Like, you write these things and maybe it's just not ready for him. Maybe it's the world was not ready for Josh Thompson at that time. If he would have been 10 years before or after, maybe it would have been a little different. I don't know. Yeah, that boy, man. He's a big fan of his too. So.
I'll tell you, I'll brag with you on him, man. I was in the room a lot back in the day with Josh, and I mean, there's not many writers that know how to just say the most incredible. Like I look at two styles. There's Eric Church, where like every line is just some like just complete, just genius of how you word and think out of the box.
Again, half these things, yeah.
But Josh does the same thing, but so simple. It's almost like old man wise talk, but cool. I don't know. I remember because that was the hardest part I had with writing was, the two writers that really, really established as far as made me want to write like them was Eric and Trent Tomlinson, because those two records are the ones that came out right around the end of my senior year. And I remember hearing that. And I remember Josh would just look at me in the room and go, keep it simple, stupid, man. You're trying so hard.
I love that, man. I love that. We're just showing a picture too. I clicked the next one. This is one of you and Joe Diffie, which is another amazing artist, man, that we lost too soon. But Tennessee River Run, Daryl Early, man. I didn't know you played that back in the day too. So we used to live probably 15, 20 minutes from where they had it, but we didn't go until 2006, 2007, probably.
Yeah.
Is when we started going. But what year did you end up playing?
Well, so ironically, I didn't play. I was actually playing acoustic for Cherie. What was her name?
Okay.
I know she's gotten married and her name's changed, but she wanted me to come play acoustic for her. But that was my second time playing. I guess the first was my whole Hank Jr. graduation day story. But first time to play something like that on that level. But man, that would have been 2007. It was that first summer that I lived in town. And but Daryl was a good buddy, and a lot of those cats. I mean, Daryl, the first producer I had is his drummer, and so I was around Daryl a lot. And I'd say to this day, I said one of the reasons why I treat my band and my fans and look at things the way I do is because I saw how Daryl did all that, and I would see guys that didn't have half going on at the time what he did, that were divas and rude to people, and I'm looking going like, this dude's like smoking everybody, and he's the most guy ever. So he had a big effect on me. And then even talking about Diffie, man, I hated that we met through a terrible record label situation, but if there was another good thing that came out of that second deal, it was getting to know Diffie. And we got, I wouldn't say close, but we got to know each other pretty well the last few years there before he passed away. And same thing, man, what a great dude that just good country music, man.
Yeah, man. So what does the rest of 2022 look like for you? I know you're heading to Colorado or Oklahoma this weekend. I forgot which one. I saw you just sharing it.
Yeah, we're heading up. In fact, old Jared Neiman, I haven't seen him in forever. We're gonna play with him on a Thursday night, and then we're gonna turn around and headline the same venue Friday. So it's nice not having to go anywhere.
Yeah, dude.
Over to Colorado Springs, but we're starting to hit that stretch of the summertime where I mean, we always tour, but summer's when it definitely gets more insane. So I'm looking forward to getting up there.
Nice, man. We gotta get you out Chicago, anywhere closer to us. We go see, man. We gotta get out there and see a show sometime. Well, other than in April, you're releasing the new song. Anything else that you plan on releasing later on? Are you working on any projects by any chance or anything?
Yeah. So for the first time I can say this, I'm happily signed in a new deal, and I signed with a writer music group, and it's thank you. I mean, it's more of a publishing deal, but it's got record deal purchased out anyway. Label talk.
You smiled when you said that, so I love that, man. I love that. You smile.
But we came in with the idea of, man, let's just flood the world with all this music that I've had for all these years. So, man, I mean, we started back in January-ish or something like that, and we're dropping a new single digitally every single month up until the point that I think we're going to finally package it, make a full record, and we'll still push our Texas radio singles around it. But I know there's some talk about going ahead and making a terrestrial radio push and all that. So. I don't know. We'll see where the cards all fall, but I mean, the main thing of it is there's no shortage of music, and we're going to keep flooding everybody with it, which is great because it's, the set is literally evolving to where, every month it's a new show now. So just touring and pumping the stuff out and trying to let all the people that complain about country music these days know that there's guys like us that are actually keeping it country.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we're gonna move on to our sponsored part of the night, our Powered by Podex. I pulled a couple cards earlier tonight. One of them was, who are 3 people you look up to and why? So it could be in the music industry, it could be just in life general, but 3 people in your life that you look up to, and why do you choose them?
Well, obviously George Strait, because that's my hero. I do got to say my mom and dad. I know that's 2 people, and I'm gonna count them as one.
We'll count them as one. Yeah.
I was raised in a way older generation. My parents are probably most grandparents for, people my age as far as age goes. And there was a time that I was kind of embarrassed of that and didn't like it. But man, it taught me a lot of values and a lot of things in life that I wouldn't have learned, I think, if I'd been born in another generation. And just, even as bitter as I can get sometimes at how the industry's been to me, that I've always just learned to keep a smile on your face, be the bigger person and stuff from them. Yeah. That's got to be a big, big one. And
so that's the only thing you learned from mom right there. You learned that from mom.
Yeah. Mom's the feisty one. She's the one coming up to you. What's up? And man, third, who would that be there? Man, if I just had to name somebody off my hat, and I don't know if it's necessary, I guess it's life changing. I'd say Trent, man. That was the first time going in the studio in my entire life when I did that Neon Town record that someone was telling me, yeah, do that song. That's perfect for you. Yeah, there should be fiddle there. Yeah, there should be steel there. I mean, we're not even using Trent right now on some of this new stuff that we're doing, but he gave me that it's okay to be you, kind of deal when it came to recording my music. So I got to give him a lot of props for that, because I don't know that I would have made that record without him.
Yeah, dude, I love that. I have an old school, one of his cookbooks from years ago. Dude. It's a Trent Wilmot cookbook. And the only reason I have is because church had like a beer battered beans or something like that in there. Yeah. I'm gonna go look at Church's beans recipe in this book. I have it. It's sitting around here somewhere. But
man, that's one thing I do miss about living in Nashville is going out to Trent's house and writing, because he always had something cooked up, and it was like, man, what are we today?
I love that, man. And our next one, if you could go back in time and change anything about your music career, what would it be? So I mean, if you could go back to maybe one of those signing days and not sign something, or any other part of your music career, where would you go and what would you change?
Man, I get asked this all the time, and I've got the same exact answer. Not a damn thing, because I don't think I'd be where I am now if anything would have worked out at the time when I thought it would. This is no disrespect to these artists when I say this, but, I was in that time and that crop of like Easton Corbin and Craig Campbell and those guys as far as my record deals go. And radio just didn't really accept them and keep them for longevity. And I think I would have been in that same category. I think now it's forced me to wait it out to where country's kind of cool again. But even more, like I said early on too, I was a very sheltered, dumb, and I'll be honest, I was a cocky little kid. I was in my head, Billy Badass and next George Strait, and everybody just needs to know it, And so I think all this time it's, I spent the first years of being in Nashville learning how to perform. That was the easy part. I spent the next chapter really learning how to write and the craft of it. And then the next chapter was really learning the business and learning how to truly tour and treat it like a business. And, I don't think if if I hadn't went through all the things that I went through, I don't think I'd be where I am today. I mean, there's a lot of guys that seem like they got a lot of success, but they don't know the business. And at the end of their career, everybody took all their money and they got nothing left. So I'm glad in that state that I didn't have to deal with that. But I don't know. Like I said, if there was one thing, if I truly was going to say I'd change it, I wish I would have found a way to learn the business without learning the hard way.
Yeah. I mean, everything was a stepping stone for you. I mean, just one thing led to another, which finally led you to Texas, which finally led you to 6 number ones in a row. So, I mean, everything was definitely a stepping stone. All right, man. I love that, man. But this next segment, melodies and memories. So what we're going to do is we're going to play about 5 seconds of a song. And the first memory you have with the song or what it makes you think of, go ahead. Let's do Yellow first.
My granddaddy, and he'll match me step for step.
So Brad plays it. I can't say that. Brad Paisley, When I Get Where I'm Going. When you hear that song, man, where does it bring you?
Actually, that just went deep. I can't believe you even thought to play that. So, all right, I'm gonna make sure I don't tear up on this one. Part of what also pushed me to make that move to Nashville, one of my absolute best friends died right in that Christmas time. He overdosed, and they asked me to play that song at his funeral. And so I did, but him passing away had a lot to do with that. If I don't go now, when the hell am I going to go? So that really pushed me to Nashville. That was another part of it.
Well, dude, I apologize.
Nobody's ever pulled that one on me. That's when you played that.
I don't know. When I was looking for songs, man, that one it stood out to me for songs. So something just made that song stand out. I'm like, I gotta go with that one.
Man, that's crazy.
Right. We'll break it up with this next one. Go ahead and hit green.
Was a young troubadour.
So some troubadour, man. George Strait. When you hear that, where you going with it?
The King, man. I mean, that's my hero. That's it. I don't know if that concert had not happened, if I'd be doing this to this day, man. And even to the point, he played Little Rock here about a month ago, and I had it blocked off in the schedule for like a year. I was like, I'm not playing that night. I'm going to the show. So, man, that's just, I mean, I can't say anything else about George. I ain't already said that's the whole reason I do what I do.
Yeah, I love that. I got to see one of his goodbye tours when Church opened up for him in Kansas City, dude, and that was just amazing. We went to that one, all 4 of us, and to see those 2 guys together, it was almost like he was handing over the torch in a way.
Yeah, man.
He's incredible.
So it was really cool, man. All right, go ahead and hit do the yellow one. You're gonna like this one.
How much she brought to the table.
I had to throw that in there because that's where we got our name for the show, man. Gainin Fast On Memphis, Can't Take It With You. But I know that's one of your favorite lines of a song, man. So when you hear that, where's it taking you?
It takes me to when I first understood songwriting. I never realized how much she brought to the table. So I went to sit my cup of coffee where the table used to be. I remember hearing that line in Arkansas the first time I popped that CD in, and my brain going, what? And that's when I realized there's this cookie cutter songwriting that a lot of radio plays, and then there's beast, and that's a beast.
Yeah, real. Yeah.
All right, this next one you gotta listen to who's singing it too, but this one's might bring back a memory for you.
Green?
Yeah, green.
So today I said goodbye to an old friend of mine.
You know who's singing that, don't you?
Amy. That is.
Rick sent me that version of that song, man, probably a few years back. And oh my God, dude, I melt when I hear it. So when you hear that song, man, where's it taking you?
I think of the night that we had the celebration for Rick and Brock getting the cut on that song. Joe Nichols actually has become a buddy over the years. We got the Arkansas connection, but Joe's on that same level of one of my favorite artists of all time. So the fact that Rick's big cut was with Joe, and it was in Joe's moment of kind of getting his life back on track, sobriety, man, that hits home, man.
Yeah, dude, that song it fit perfect. And I know when I was trying to put these 4 together, I'm like, dude, I gotta throw that one in there. I gotta throw that at the end.
I never heard that version of it. I didn't know that was out there.
I'll have to get it to you. Yeah, dude. Rick sent it to me a few years back, and it's the demo tape. So He was telling a story that they were at a party. You remember this story? He always told it. It was a church function, and Jamie Johnson rolls in with his little igloo cooler with like a 6-pack of beer. And he said by the end of the night, Jamie was handing out beers to these church women, telling stories and singing songs. I'm like, that sounds like that guy.
And I got a Jamie one for you. We, they used to do I can't remember if it's 45 RPM or RPM 45, but you get the gist. But session guys come in, like the top session players, and they play all this old school country note for note, exactly like the records. And they have all these guest singers come in. Well, Jamie popped in there, and I remember Misty Loggins and a bunch of us were all together, and it was time for it to go at the end of the night. And Jamie's about to drive, and he obviously was not in the shape he should have been. And Misty's trying to convince him, like, Jamie, don't drive. Like, that's just dumb. And I walked up. I was like, buddy, I'd be more than happy to take you. I'm running all them. And he looks me dead in the face and goes, well, I reckon if I'd have wanted somebody to take me home, I'd have had a lot more than I did. I got nothing on that, man.
I love that, dude. Good impression, too, man. You nailed that one. I love that. Yeah, dude. I love that. I met him somewhere. It was in Chicago. I think it was on the Country Throwdown tour. And he had a broken arm, but he was still playing. I don't know how the hell he was still playing with this big old wrapped up cast. But the night I met him, I don't know if he was out drinking, but he had like a bug stuck in his beard. Like this big old bug, dude. You could just see it clear as day on the picture, dude. Like I wanted so bad just to tell him, like, hey, dude, you got something like right here in the beard. I'm like, I'm just gonna let him do it. I'm gonna let him do his thing.
Shoot, man, he was an old military, was he Navy SEAL or some kind of special ops?
Yeah.
He's probably saving that for some protein or something.
Yeah, that was food for later. So, all right, man. Well, before we wrap up get to our music part of the night, we're gonna do our hot seat. So it's 10 quick questions.
10 questions.
Yeah, 10 quick seconds. Or I was gonna say seconds. So it's 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
10 questions. First thing that comes to mind, dude, when we ask these questions. Go ahead and put the 60 seconds on. There we go. The first vinyl you ever purchased.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, I never got into the vinyl thing until my girlfriend now. She's got a record player, and we got the Merle Haggard, the one with Working Man Can't Get Nowhere Today on it.
All right. I like that. If you had endless supply of something, what would you want it to be?
Steak.
Hell yeah, dude.
I was just gonna say that sounds like it.
Yeah, I love
I didn't even think about that.
Well, this next one, we're gonna throw this next question out the window then. Who has the best pizza? Best pizza you've ever had on the road or at home or anywhere?
Oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna say ever, but what comes to mind, there was a place right by where I lived in Stewart's Ferry and up there in Nashville called Sal's, and to this day, that's just if I'm even near it, I gotta have it.
Hell yeah, dude. The strangest thing you've ever seen in the middle of the road?
Well, we hit a deer last year in the middle of Montana. I wouldn't say the strangest, but that comes to mind.
Well, there you go. That counts, man. That definitely counts. Do you rather drive or fly?
Drive, man. I don't mind the flying in the airport, but I can't stand the airport itself.
Yeah. I hear you on that one. What's one thing people buy that you think is a waste of money?
Oh man, don't even get me started. There's so many things there. I guess if I had to pick one thing, like just overboard expensive cars that have no use.
Yeah. Definitely ones that can drive themselves, right?
I don't know. I'm not really but
think back on all your first dates. Where'd you go on any first date? Just kind of a random place or a first date that went south pretty quick. Where'd you go on that date?
Man, I can't remember off my head on something that vain, but I know like back in high school, I guess we're going to count the first dates. We had this little area called Lakewood Village that had a fountain, and there was a TGI Fridays. So that was like the living large in my hometown if you took a girl to those two.
You didn't go to Applebee's. We're going to Fridays. So we're step up. I love that, man. I love that. Going on a road trip, you can only pick one artist to listen to. It's either Nickelback or Billy Ray Cyrus. Who are you picking? So a 10-hour road trip, you only can pick one artist out of those two. Who are you listening on those 10 hours?
Well, luckily, I don't want to listen to Billy Ray, and I'm not one of these Nickelback haters. I love their old stuff. So crank up that first two records, man.
Hell yeah, man. I heard an interview where you mentioned Nickelback. I'm like, I gotta throw that in there somewhere.
I don't know. Their stuff's gotten weird, but I love their early stuff when I was
yeah, dude, I love that. I want to think of country music's Nickelback. I'm like, oh, Billy Ray, all right.
I wouldn't listen.
Yeah. No, but what is your favorite microwavable food?
I don't know how to really microwave. I guess the only thing I ever put in a microwave is soup. So I guess I'll say soup. I'm kind of a cook guy, so I'll reheat it in a cast iron or something if I have to.
So you've been doing this for a few years now, man. You had the 6 number ones just recently. I mean, you still had the time in Nashville. I mean, you still had a lot of learning experiences there. But what's something that's on your bucket list? Something that will make you kind of feel like you succeeded in the music industry, or that you're really just aiming for?
Man, I'll tell you one thing I really, really want to do, and I don't even know if it means I succeeded. It's just something I want to do. Is I've always wanted to be able to play and headline Cheyenne Frontier Days. I think that's a lot of why I got huge into the cowboy culture. You know, as a kid, that was our family vacation every year, was going up there, and it just so happened George would always play. So I'd go see the rodeos, I go see all the cowboy stuff, and go see George. And so it's been a childhood dream to be able to play there.
Hell yeah, man! I've seen videos of it. We haven't been there, but I've seen when church played the last couple of years and how muddy it could get. I'm like, man, that would be fun though. But I don't know. But if you ever headline it, I'll be there, dude.
I'll make sure I get you tickets, Pat.
All right, man. If you're there, I'll be in the front row, right, just screaming right back at you, dude. But you'd have to sing when I get there for sure. You'd have to play it.
We can knock the rust off of it.
Yeah, I'll be like, you're singing it. I don't care. No. I love that, man. So we're gonna move on. Get you playing. Well, let's just do one song and then call it a night on this one, because I know we're kind of running a little bit over on everything tonight. So your recent song that you have out right now, we'll do that one. Like I'm Elvis, dude. I was hearing you a little warm up on that one earlier, and I love it, man.
Well, you want a sneak peek of the new one?
Oh. You pick.
Yeah, why don't you pick on that one?
Mainly for the sake of I play that with a drop tune guitar and I don't have it with me, I'm going to do the new one because I don't know.
I'll take it, man. I'll definitely take it.
Yeah.
So is this the one that you have coming out? The honky, what was it? One Honky Tonk Town?
Yeah. It'll be out here in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I can't keep my weeks straight, but end of the month nonetheless.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, guys, hey, again, a little sneak peek of this. We're excited for this one, dude. All right, here you go. I'll give you the stage, buddy.
All right, man. We both agree to disagree. I packed my bags and gave her back her keys. She locked the door and I backed down the drive. Couldn't forgive her, couldn't forget, so I headed down a happy hour to clear my head. But when I turned the corner, I couldn't believe my eyes, 'cause that's my fault. Oh, but that's her car, parked in my favorite spot, out there in the parking lot. There ain't enough room for the two of us to keep hanging around in this one honky tonk town. I'll give her credit where credit's due. She stole my heart and took my jukebox too. Well, I guess there's just some battles you just can't win. Now wait a minute, that's crazy talk. Me giving in just gives her what she wants. If I want a beer, then man, I'm going in, 'cause that's my fault. Oh, but that's her car, parked in my favorite spot, out there in the parking lot. There ain't enough room for the two of us to keep hanging around in this one honky tonk town. Out there in the parking lot, there ain't enough room for the two of us to keep hanging around. If someone's gonna stay, somebody's gotta get out of this one honky-tonk town. Of this one honky-tonk town.
Dude,
That was
I love that,
awesome.
dude. That was so good, man.
It was fun.
You've been holding that one in your pocket for a minute, haven't you?
I waited a long time to get that thing out, so I'm counting.
I love that, man. I definitely love that. Oh god, I can't
It's a
wait for
great
that one.
song.
Yeah, that one's gonna sound good with a band too. Oh
Mhm.
boy,
Yeah,
it's gonna be a jam, dude. I can't wait. So
man, that fiddle rips on that thing. That's the part about it I like the most.
I
Mhm.
bet, dude. Oh, I cannot wait, dude. Yeah, we will definitely make sure we're blowing that up for you when you drop that here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we're excited for it. Well, dude, thank you so much for spending the last hour or so with us, dude. We really appreciate it. And man, it's been so nice catching up too, because I've been following you, man, for I don't know how many years now.
I was about to say we've always kept in touch, but I know I haven't
Yeah.
seen you in God knows how long. So I knew when you messaged me, I was like, yes, let's do this, man. So,
Yeah.
good to see you and good to finally meet the wife.
Yeah,
Yes.
right, man. Yeah, she's been around for she was the reason why I was kind of down by the Nashville area, because I mean we moved to Mississippi 2005,
Mhm.
and then we left Mississippi in 2009, came back to the Chicago area. But yeah, dude, it's been nice, man. I finally, after a few years, had to do something different, man. So I want to do this, and I want to have independent artists that come on, and I want to kind of give you guys a platform or stage that some people weren't and stuff. And it's kind of funny when I cover live shows. I'm always there for the opener, and they're like, well, why don't you cover the headliner? Like I was there. We did a show with Tyler Rich, Chris Lane, and Lily Rose. I interviewed Lily Rose and Tyler Rich, and I left.
Rich.
I'm like, well, they have the labels. They have the people
Yeah,
pushing
man.
them. Guys, they don't. So, I mean, that's why I definitely love having you guys on, talking with you. And man, I can't wait till you come up to Chicago too. So,
Fantastic.
Tell Ed, let's book the date. I'm down.
yeah, dude, man, I'll keep on. I'm gonna put that fire in Ed and tell him, get him up here, dude. So
Now that it's not cold.
yeah,
it's
right, yeah.
I did Chicago in like February one time, and I swore that would never happen again. So.
Yeah. February is rough.
That's how Church plans his tours, man. He's always in the South in the summer and the North in the winter. I'm like, dude, what are you talking? Flip that shit. Flip that around.
Make it a vacation.
Take care of you. I guess it's easier because you ain't got to deal with it. For me, it's the drive, and I'm like, that snow hits. No, I'm out, man. I ain't
Yep.
Yep, I hear that, man. Well, buddy, I wish you nothing but the best, and can't wait to see what happens the rest of 2022 for you. And dude, fingers crossed for number 7 in a row. I know it's gonna happen though.
I appreciate it, man. I'm hoping so too, brother.
All right, man. You have a good night, and we'll talk soon, man.
All right, brother. Y'all be good.
All right, bye. All right, y'all. That was amazing. I love it. I gotta share more stories with him.
Oh, I'm sure you guys could have talked for hours.
Yeah. It was cool, man. We ran into each other all the time in and around Nashville here and there, and he went back to Texas. I went to Texas. I went back to Chicago and kind of did our own thing, but we always kept in touch.
It's
so
still nice that
cool.
you can connect for sure.
It was funny because
He's doing big things.
I was looking for that picture of him and I that I shared earlier, and I shared on my socials. I couldn't find it at first. I'm like, where is that picture at? And I logged into my MySpace. And him and I were still MySpace friends, so it was still showing from back in the day.
I would give
like,
anything to get back into my MySpace account.
It's on there.
I'm sure it is, but I don't know.
Because like you remember how you had like
I don't even know
your top 9 friends or whatever. You're
you're
like my number 1 or number 2. I don't know. It was dependent if I liked you that week. It bounced.
You could. I was gonna say you could categorize like who your top 5 were or
it bounced
whatever.
between you and Carlo a lot.
Oh.
And then Church would get in.
Can you
there.
still see my account?
Yeah, well, I was able to see your name on there. Yeah.
So interesting.
some
I
way
die
like
to see
kinda-
what's on there.
They switched more to like a music platform, so they're more music focused and more music geared now. When I was on there, but
Are people still on there though? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of people. MySpace is still a thing. Seriously, you guys used to have
our kids will never know what MySpace.
Well, if you had an old profile, Google your MySpace profile. You will find it. Unless you delete it before you ever left the website. I just left. I never deleted anything.
I never did either.
Yeah, so if you never delete it, it's still there. They kept
Cool.
it. So some things might not load up, but there's some things on there. I always was looking back because I remember church sent me a message on there. He never used to use social media.
Mm-hmm.
But I had one message one time from church, and I knew it was from him because it's something he said on there. It was when he did "Dang Me" in Memphis. In
Yeah,
like 2007.
when your parents were there. I remember that.
When my birthday was that 1 year, and he did that. And,
I remember your birthday very well that year, actually.
but he wrote on social media, he wrote "Dang Me" EC, and I'm like, dude, that's him.
Yeah,
it has to be him. I've never seen that before, but it's pretty cool. So, but yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I had fun, man.
It's a great show,
dude. I love that he found his
nice.
path. He found his path where he was headed.
Yeah, he seems so happy.
And 6 number ones are. I mean, he would have. I don't know if he would have got that in Nashville. I mean, Nashville is it's a giant. I mean, it's a giant compared to Texas. It's nothing. I mean, I think. I mean, if they don't play their cards right, Austin and the whole Texas scene could
take over
this big part of the music industry. So, and
Well,
we'll see what happens.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not arguing with the Texas country that's been coming out lately. It's some
we
good
love
stuff.
it.
So, I'm having fun. But thank you guys for joining us on episode 126 with David Adam Byrnes. His journey has had many ups and downs, but he's proof that hard work and staying true to yourself really does pay off. We want to wish David nothing but the best and can't wait to see what he accomplishes in 2022. Don't forget to catch up on everything you missed from tonight and past episodes over at gainingfastonmemphis.com. And yeah, we're going to see you next week with another fun show. So we cannot wait, guys. See you then.
Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver is brought to you by Arlo Revolution. As we close the book on another chapter, remember, music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. Next week, Aaron connects more melodies and memories with other fans and the artists they love. Thanks for being a part of this musical journey, and we'll see you next time on the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver.